Hey everybody. So last time we started working on a foam print using the artist Hokusai and his ukiyo-e prints that he made woodblock, Japanese woodblock prints as inspiration. So we used some foam from a takeout container to be our printing plate. So this kind of printing would be called a monotype because each time that you make the print, it's going to be uniquely colored. Even if you try to color exactly the same way each time, each one of them will probably have a little bit of variation. So that would be called a monotype. Since they're all coming off the same print, it might actually be called a monoprint, but that's technical stuff that only printmakers really care about, and we won't worry about it too much for what we're doing here. So on the first one, we had a little bit of trouble seeing the difference between the mountain and the cloud because they were both white. So let's try a couple of other things here and see what we can do. So we might want to do something a little bit more unusual with this and change the colors a little bit so that they are different maybe than you might see in real life. So maybe we'll do a purple sky with a pink cloud this time. And let's just keep this whole theme going here, okay? So let's go with this darker purple, okay, or this is violet actually, and the other one is called royal purple, so maybe the other one is darker, I don't know, okay? So you can decide what you want, okay? So we've got that pink cloud there. Let's keep going with the blues. Let's have a blue hill. Why not? And let's do the darker blue for the tree and the grass. Okay, so I'm just coloring these things. I'm sticking with mostly these blue colors, and we'll see what we get. And then we'll use the turquoise blue for the rocks this time, okay? So everything's in kind of a blue tones there, okay? Purples and blues, but we have the pink around the outside edge, okay? And then why don't we just try this? Since we didn't do this last time, we'll add a little color to the edge. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. It's really light, okay, compared to the other colors, but I can add that around the background edge, okay? And then we'll get our paper ready to print, and we'll see what it looks like, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit more water on this time, okay? Again, if you get your paper really wet, you'll get the ink to come off the plate really well, but then sometimes the marker will kind of blend into each other, okay? Which can make for a cool effect, okay? So let's try it, okay? So we're going to flip this over. We're going to place it into the middle here. I'm going to flip it back over this way, okay? And because the paper is kind of wet, my hands tend to stick to it when I start using the pressure and rubbing. So another piece of paper that's dry helps, okay? And putting some good pressure on there will help you get the prints, even pressure. Again, you can use a spoon or a rolling pin or something to rub the back of this as well, but I think your hands usually work pretty well. Let's see what we get this time. All right, cool, that's a little bit different look to it, okay? So this foam is not very smooth or flat, so it has this kind of granulated texture to it, okay? And that's okay, that's gonna work all right. Some of these other prints worked and they had some of that texture to them, but this foam that I used at school is a little bit smoother. Also, if you get the paper a little more wet, the colors will tend to blend in and become a little bit more smooth as well. So it just depends on the kind of foam you're using to get the prints. This one you can see where it's a little more blurry, and that was a little more wet because things were kind of blending together a little bit more. Okay, and this one was really kind of wet, and the colors actually ran outside of those pieces a little bit. So let's try something else here. So I want to show you this idea, which is actually kind of cool, and then I'm just going to let you go. You can experiment with whatever colors you want to do. Let's make more of a warm color variation this time. If you want to, you can go ahead and run your plate over some water and wipe everything off, and you can get it cleaned up pretty well. So my orange and my turquoise are going to mix a little bit here, and we're going to get kind of a brownish color. It looks like that's okay. Let's do a red mountain this time, and then let's do pink for the sky. That's kind of cool. And then let's do the purple for the cloud. It'll stand out a little bit more. See if there's another orange in here. Is that different than this orange? That's orange. This is tiger orange. Okay, who knew? We'll add a little bit of orange here to the background. Okay. I'm going to add a little orange in here with just some lines. If you let those dry all the way, sometimes they'll actually show up as line work in your picture. Okay, and then let's go back to red down here for the rocks. Let's try this peach color for the grass. I don't know if that's even going to show up very well at all, but we'll see. Okay, and then what should we do on the outside edge? Maybe a little bit of gray. And then let's try something interesting here. So the lines normally print as a white color, and they'll still do that, but if you want them to stand out a little more, you can take a dark color like black, and you can go down and color inside of the lines a little bit. The lines are still going to print as white, but they'll kind of have this black outline around them, which can make it look kind of cool and interesting when you finish everything up. So I'm really just taking the black here, and if you do this, you'll probably really have to rinse your plate off in between, otherwise the black will bother all of your other colors. Okay, and then you can even like go around the edge here and draw patterns into the edge that aren't carved into the foam, but they can still be added to the foam as a pattern, just drawn with the marker, but they're not carved. That way you could add a different pattern to the outside edge every time you did it and try something new every time. So let's see what happens when we try and print this way. Okay, cool. So we've got several. Put some some water on here. Get this one to be even more damp, right? So this one will be the one that has the most water on it. You could spray these beforehand, and then you could just let them sit and absorb the water a little bit more. Ooh, we touched the edge with our marker. Let's touch that up just a little bit. That'll be fine. Add a little detail there. Let's see what happens. This is always kind of the interesting and exciting part, is you're going to place that on there, and you're never sure exactly what it's going to look like until you get it all printed. Okay, take that there, take another piece of paper. Okay, try not to let everything move. So I'm holding one half of the plate while I press down on the other half, and then I'm holding this other half with my right hand while I press with my left hand. So I'm never just moving both hands at the same time. That way I keep everything from moving, because if your paper moves around, then your image is going to smear a little bit, and then we'll see. That's cool, check that out. Alright, I kind of like that. Okay, so that works out. We may have a little more black up there than we wanted, so we lost some of those details and things in there. And my lines are really thick because I used that thick pencil, so you might even try with that thin pencil, just barely scraping into the surface, and then maybe you can have really thin lines too. So I think this is just something fun to kind of mess around with and try some different things out. When you're done with everything and the paper is all dry, then it's a good time to actually sign the artwork. Okay, so here's one that I made similar to what we did before, and if you're gonna sign like an official printmaker would, then you're gonna put your date over here, 2020, okay, on the right hand corner of the print, and then you're going to sign your name next to the date. If you had a title, you could put it over here, okay, but we don't really have to do that right now. Sometimes printmakers will number their prints, but that would be if they're all exactly the same, and since these are monoprints and each one of them is a little bit different, we don't have to actually number them. Okay, so there we go. We made some prints, okay, using styrofoam. So it's kind of cool. Check it out, try it out, see what you think. Try some different experiments with different kinds of designs and ideas. Make your lines thicker or thinner. Try out different colors and see what you can get. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope you guys had fun with that. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.